Yeah. You see your face. All right. Yep. And welcome to Wise Guys. These guys know sports on this Friday, June the 25th. Another day with the Wise Guys crew. Myself, Mr. Trae Larkin, sitting alongside my co-host, Mr. Clarence. What's up, Clarence? Happy Friday, bro. Happy Friday to you. Everybody remember, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. Clarence, how is your Friday treat?
Well, Fridays, man. Just relaxing. Kind of disappointed I got to work all weekend, man. But it's the usual, man. How about you, man?
Feeling pretty good on this Friday, man. I'm excited for NBA playoff basketball this weekend, man. We got the Eastern Conference, the Hawks, Bucks tonight. You know, in Milwaukee, we're going to recap game one here in a bit. We got that game coming up here shortly. Also, we're going to talk about the Western Conference Finals. You know, game 3 last night between the Suns and the Clippers. Clippers got back in the series with the win, but we got an action jam-packed show here for everybody playing. Sean McVay, you know, spoke highly of his new quarterback, Matthew Stafford. So we're going to break down on LA Rams and give y'all our expectations for the Rams this upcoming season. Also, Steve Kerr says Kevin Durant is more gifted than Michael Jordan. Yes, that's what Steve Kerr said. We're going to break all of it down a little bit later on in the show.
What's going on, Big CJ, man? Big shout out to CJ. Yeah, he's weapon highs for the New York Jet podcast. He's tuning in the show. Hey, man. Hey, great to see you tuned in, brother.
For sure, man. Let's start off in the NBA, Clarence, as the Western Conference Finals game 3 took place last night in Los Angeles. The Clippers beat the Suns 106-92. Suns still lead the series 2-1 for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, he struggled last night. He had 15 points, shot 5 of 21 from the field. Paul George had 27 points, 15 rebounds. Reggie Jackson dropped 23 points, trying to earn himself a new contract. So, Clarence, the Clippers do it again. They're the masters of game 3. What was your reaction to the Clippers winning game 3 in the Western Conference Finals? What was your reaction to that?
Well, my biggest reaction to this big win for the Clippers was they kept fighting, and Tyronn Lue, he made another adjustment to play 4 guards and 1 center, and something that he needed to make an adjustment because this Suns team is very balanced at each position, and he just did a great job. And Paul George, he was very aggressive. You know, Reggie Jackson, he followed behind him, and Marcus Morris, he was putting up good baskets. So they was having a good run, like, and it was special. And the Phoenix Suns, like, Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they struggled bad.
They did.
Yeah, they was combined of 10 for 40 from the field, 3 for 10. Like they shot 40%. They shot, yeah. I don't think they shot 30% for the 3-point line. Excuse me, fellas. Yeah, everybody. They shot 30%, and it was just like they wasn't clicking. And it's funny how Devin Booker went to talk to Rick Hamilton about wearing a mask. Like, if you're gonna wear the mask, you got to perform at that high level, because Rick Hamilton was a dog. Yeah, he was the one that wear the mask. So I kind of forget. They forget and stuff like Devin Booker had a terrible game. I thought Patrick Beverly played great defense on him.
Yeah,
he had some clutch. Like, he was just locking him up. He was in his skin, like something that you need, because when Paul George was taking him, he was beating him. But when they put back Pat Beverly on him, man, he was just roughing him up. And CP3, I know he had the COVID. He missed the first 2 games, so that was from like 11 days of layoff. So he had to get back into gameplay. So he was kind of a little sloppy and old. So I think I expect more from the Suns in game 4, though. But this Clippers team, they rallied up in game 3 and got the victory at home, like you always supposed to defend home court.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Clippers was outstanding in game 3 last night, Clarence, and it's been a trend so far in these playoffs. So far in game 3s in the playoffs, the Clippers are 3-0, and they outscoring their opponents by 17 in game 3s. So they playing outstanding in game 3s, and this is basically, you know, the 3rd time the Clippers have answered the bell after trailing, 2-0 in the best-of-7 series. They did it against Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. They did it against Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz. And basically, they've played essentially 5 elimination games, so far in these postseason. They played 2 against the Dallas Mavericks. They were trailing 3-2, and they also played 3 games, game 3s. Because, if you go down 3-0, you're losing the series. It's not going to happen. You're not coming back. So they played essentially 5 elimination games, and they've answered the bell in each and every game. And I was very impressed last night with their defensive intensity. And I thought that was the difference in the game last night, Clarence. I noticed a few possessions offensively where the Suns, they were, it was late in the shot clock, and the Clippers were like playing tight defense. They were all up in the Suns' grill offensively. Like there were a couple possessions where the Suns just didn't know where to go with the basketball. They couldn't shoot over the Clippers defenders. And you mentioned it. Patrick Beverley has been outstanding for the Los Angeles Clippers so far in this series, Clarence. In games 2 and 3, Devin Booker has not shot the ball well. And that's because Patrick Beverley is playing some great defense on Devin Booker. Devin Booker in games 2 and 3, he's shooting 10 of 37 from the floor, which is 27%. He's shooting 2 of 10 from three-point range, which is 20%. And overall, he is struggling. Like, he is really irritating Devin Booker. And I agree with you. I think him wearing the mask last night, combined with Patrick Beverley's defense, that's why you saw Devin Booker struggle the way he did, going 5 of 21 from the floor. But again, like you said, CP3, he didn't shoot the ball well either. Where did he go last night? He shot 5 of 19, 2 of 7 from three-point range. But I had a feeling that Chris Paul was going to struggle, and like as he got back into a rhythm, because he's missed the last 2 games. So I expected it. But one more thing, too, that was an X factor in this game. Cameron Payne went out in the first quarter. So I thought that was a key factor, in game 3. Because Cameron Payne, he balled out in game 2. He dropped almost 30 points, no turnovers. He was a driving force for the Phoenix Suns, winning game 2. So I thought, losing Cameron Payne combined with Patrick Beverley's defensive intensity on Devin Booker and Chris Paul, not being in rhythm, put that in consideration, you have the Suns losing, in game 3.
Yeah, I just look at this Clippers team though, like they rally up, and Tyronn Lue, he just knew like it was time to make another adjustment. And I love the adjustment. He started Terrence Mann at the 4. Like some apparent reason, Terrence Mann is good defending big men and they know how to attack them because some reason he had like 8, 12 points, 6 for 8 shooting off of 5 rebounds and he was just balling out. And I think for PG, this is another test to his testimony on hey, can you lead this Clippers team against this powerhouse Suns team? Yeah. So it gives them another boost to go into game 4 thinking we can beat them. We just have to defend home court because they've been down this position before. They've down 2-1 the last two matchups, and they end up winning their 2 home games as they should. Yeah. So I think this goes another test to a testimony. Can you lead them again? Because CP3, Paul George definitely led players to each conference, like the Pacers. Right. So if he can do it again, this would definitely be a great thing on his resume.
I agree with you, Ty Lue. Him making that adjustment, inserting Terrence Mann into the starting lineup was a difference in the game for me because you had Terrence Mann on Chris Paul, you had Patrick Beverley on Devin Booker. So that's a great defensive backcourt for the Los Angeles Clippers. Right. And I think that's part of the reason why you saw Devin Booker and Chris Paul struggle like they did. They shot 10 of 40 from the floor, which is 25%, 3 of 14 from three-point range. They was awful in last night's game. They also missed 30 shots combined. Chris Paul and Devin Booker missed 30 shots, which ties for their most missed shots as teammates. This is only the second time they've missed, this many shots. So I think Ty Lue's adjustment inserting Terrence Mann was a big key factor. And it's crazy because you look at the statistical numbers in this series from the 2 best players from each team, right? Right. You would think Devin Booker would have the advantage in plus minus over Paul George, but that's not the case. So far in this series, Devin Booker is a -5. Paul George is a plus 24. So last night, when I look at Paul George's performance, I felt like he played pretty good, dropping 27 points. He had his 8th consecutive game, where he scored 25 points or more, which is the second longest in Clipper history. He had 8 assists, 15 rebounds. So Paul George almost had a triple-double. So I thought he played good, but not great because he didn't really shoot the ball particularly well. What did he shoot last night? 9 of 26. So he wasn't efficient, but I felt like he played an all-around game. Yeah. And him being able to have 15 rebounds when he can get the ball off of missed shots by the Suns, he can get the Clippers in their offense fast because he's bringing the ball up the court off the missed shot. So I think that's also why offensively you saw them play at a high level, especially in that third quarter, Clarence. They played outstanding in the third quarter.
Yeah.
They outscored the Phoenix Suns 34-21 in the third quarter. So the Suns got outscored by 13 in the third quarter, and I believe that was a difference in the game.
So let me ask you this. We know this is CP3 first game back since the COVID. So how you feel about, like his performance and him being out these Western Conference Finals?
I think that was the difference in last night's game. In a way, like as crazy as it sounds, Clarence, I think Chris Paul unintentionally threw off the flow last night for the Phoenix Suns. I think him getting back inserted into the starting lineup, threw him off a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think, he's going to play better in game 4, and the Phoenix Suns will play better as a team in game 4. But I got somebody else I want to call out too on the Phoenix Suns. Jay Crowder has been awful. Like, he's been awful for the Phoenix Suns. He hasn't given them anything. Yeah, Jay Crowder last night, he had 9 points, but he's not really hitting perimeter shots at a high level. Like, he shot 3 of 6 from three-point range, but overall, he hasn't played that great. I think last game in game 2, he didn't make a shot. He was awful. Like, he's not playing great.
I'll probably say about the defensive effort because he has been slacking on the defensive side. He's been hitting jump shots as position they want him to hit.
Yeah.
I just think on the defensive side, he hasn't given enough effort like he usually was in the last 2 series. So I think if he can get back up on his defensive effort, the shots gonna come.
Yeah,
the shots gonna come for him. So I think he's not worried about. And another thing for CP3 though, I think at this part though, I agree too though, Carl. 3 of 60, that's 50%. But for CP3, you've been out for these last 2 games. It's time for you to get back into play because this is your chance to honestly win a ring, win an NBA Finals ring. If you being out for COVID and you didn't play well in this game, you need to get back to play and you need to start playing even better because this team, you helped change them. You helped bring them to the playoffs. You got them this far.
Right.
It's time for yourself to show up. If he don't show up, that's a problem. Devin Booker's going to continue to struggle.
For sure. I agree with you. But it's so crazy, Clarence, because when you look at the statistical numbers, let me give you some statistics about Chris Paul, in the playoffs. Okay. So This is with Chris Paul on the floor. Devin Booker's averaging 28 points per game. DeAndre Ayton's averaging 15 points per game. Cameron Payne's averaging 10 points per game. You would think with Chris Paul, their numbers would increase significantly. Yeah. But when Chris Paul goes out, their numbers, you would think with Chris Paul on the floor, their numbers would stay at a high level. But when he's out, their numbers increase. They actually kind of play better without Chris Paul in a weird way. I just gave you the numbers. Devin Booker averages 30 without Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton averages 22 points per game without Chris Paul. Cameron Payne averages 20 points per game without Chris Paul.
Yeah.
With Chris Paul on the floor, their numbers are lower. So I thought that was kind of weird. I looked up these stats and I found them. I'm like, man, that's crazy to think. But without Chris Paul, the Suns have no chance at winning the NBA championship overall. But I think he will play better in game 4. Matter of fact, I'll go out on the limb right now and say you can pencil Chris Paul in for 25, 10, and 6 in game 4. So he's going to drop 25 points. He'll have 10 assists, and he'll have 6 rebounds. I'm penciling that in. Hold me to that.
I'm going to hold you to that. What you say, 20?
I got 25 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds in game 4 for Chris Paul at Staples Center tomorrow night. Pencil me in for that.
And then I'm going to say, another thing for CP3, like you said, Devin Booker and Cameron Payne, Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton play better. They play better without him. I just think when you don't got that structure from that point guard being on the floor, you can play freedom, play your game.
Yeah.
But I just think DeAndre Ayton, you gotta expect more from him because I understand he's young and he's developing, but this is the playoffs.
Right.
It's time to get better, time to put up monster numbers. You was the first round pick, 2018, I think?
Yeah.
2018. He was the first overall pick in the draft. It's time for you to put up monster numbers. It's time to show that what you're made of because everybody's looking at you hey, are you in the talks for the best center in the NBA? Are you a top 15 center in the league right now?
Right.
But I just think you need to get more out of him. Back in college, he was shooting the 3, but I think you need to orchestrate the 3 into his game because you need more out of him, even with CP3 being out.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they didn't get the ball to him enough in the second half.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I thought they kind of went away from Ayton. They need to get the ball to DeAndre Ayton. I think DeAndre Ayton has played great in the playoffs.
Double digits.
He answered the bell in the first round going up against, arguably the best big man in the NBA and Anthony Davis. And in the second round, going up against the Joker, the NBA MVP, I feel like Ayton held his own in that series. So I think they need to get the ball to DeAndre Ayton, more often in the low post. But also, Clint, if you look at this game in the second half, that's where the Los Angeles Clippers won the game. They outscored the Suns 60-44. They shot 54% compared to 36% shooting by the Phoenix Suns. They shot 9 of 17 from three-point range, and the Suns shot 5 of 14 from three-point range. So the Clippers played well in the second half. And every time I think, I'm counting out the Clippers, they're done, it's over, you can put a fork in them. Here the Clippers come roaring back. They refuse to lose. And I also give you one more key moment in the game. At the end of the third quarter, Paul George hitting that half-court shot because the Suns had cut the lead to 8. He hit that half-court shot. They increased their lead to 11, and you just get the feeling this is too much for the Suns to overcome. I felt like that when it's under 10, I'm thinking, okay, maybe Devin Booker goes crazy in the fourth quarter.
Right.
The Suns have a chance to steal a game where they haven't really played very well. But Paul George hitting that 3-point shot at half court where you see him kissing to the crowd, I think that was a key moment in game 3 for the Clippers to come away with the win.
Let me ask you this, though. What adjustments should Coach Monty Williams should make ahead and towards game 4?
I just mentioned, I think they need to get the ball to DeAndre Ayton more, in the low post. I think they also need to, just Chris Paul and Devin Booker got to play better. I think it just comes down to that. You need your 2 best players to play at a high level in the playoffs. And I look at Chris Paul and Devin Booker. I think Chris Paul and Devin Booker are one of the best backcourts we have in the NBA. I'm talking about, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and, James Harden and Kyrie Irving. I believe Chris Paul and Devin Booker arguably is a top 3 backcourt duo in the NBA that you could say they're dominant. They play at a high level. So I think they just need to play better. They can't, go 10 for 40. You can't have that happen from the 2 best players. So I think Monty Williams, I just think overall he just needs his 2 best players to play better.
Yeah, I just think right, and put my mic right here so everybody can hear me because everybody keeps saying Suns and 4. I just think the Monty Williams, he's got to make good defense adjustments because you can't give the Clippers free threes, open threes, and time to make a move. They got to be more aggressive, and you got to feed DeAndre Ayton. You got to get him involved. Don't make it into a 2-man game because that's what they feel like they done. Like CP3 and Devin Booker, without those 2 them guys, them 2 are the main people that's scoring. If somebody is open, but you need to get DeAndre Ayton involved. Get the pick and roll rolling and be more aggressive, though. I just think you be more aggressive in game 4, get DeAndre Ayton involved, and better production from CP3 and Devin Booker.
And I actually want to give some credit to Zubac. I thought Zubac played with more physicality last night in game 3, and that was also a key factor for the LA Clippers. But also, I got to give some love to Reggie Jackson. He's playing some great basketball. I think he's earned himself, a new contract. Oh, the way Reggie Jackson is playing right now, this is the Reggie Jackson that the Detroit Pistons thought they were getting. They signed him to a max contract a few years ago.
Play in Detroit.
He didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play very well in Detroit. But I think this is what they thought they were getting.
Nobody don't want to play in Detroit.
Nobody wants to play in Detroit. Nobody. You saw how Blake Griffin played with the Brooklyn Nets. After he got out of Detroit, we all of a sudden see Blake Griffin dunking again. So nobody really want to play in Detroit. But I think Reggie Jackson has earned himself another payday with the way he's performing in these playoffs. Clarence, he has hit some big time shots, and I think he scored 8 points in the fourth quarter last night. That really, really helped the Clippers pull away from the Phoenix Suns when we thought they were getting back in the game.
So everybody that's listening on this live right now, Carl, Randy, CJ, I'm gonna let y'all know this. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Reggie Jackson is probably the best closing role player in this NBA playoffs. Book it right now.
I understand that. That's what you said. So, question for you: who wins Game 4?
Believe it or not, I'm taking the Clippers to win this matchup.
Wow.
I got the Clippers winning them. I had the Clippers in 6, and it's time for me to believe in them. And I think that if they can, defend home court again, like they did this last series, I think they're making it more competitive in this series. Kawhi Leonard's already is not playing Game 4, so you're taking another risk. You're gonna have to give him another speech. Terrence Mann gonna have to come big again. Paul George, you got to continue to play at that lead level. But I got the Clippers. If Patrick Beverley be aggressive on Devin Booker, I think he's the key factor in this for them right now. Be aggressive on Devin Booker, slow him down. I think the Clippers can win this. I got the Clippers.
Clippers are a prime example of it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. So far, the Clippers in the postseason, Clarence, let me give you some statistical numbers. In games 1 and 2 in these playoff series, they're 0-6. They're averaging 110 points per game, and point differential is -5.5. Okay. In games 3 through 7, they are 9-1, averaging 116 points per game, point differential +12. So they are playing at a high level the longer these series go along. So they are a mentally tough team, and the Phoenix Suns, they can't be relaxed against these Clippers, Clarence. They can't be relaxed.
Yeah.
Like the Clippers have answered the bell all postseason long, and I believe the Phoenix Suns need to do a great job of coming out with intensity in Game 4 and come out and punch the Clippers in the mouth early. Because if you give the Clippers some confidence and they steal Game 4, I'm going to guarantee you, I'm going to tell you this right now. If the Clippers win Game 4 tomorrow night in LA, it's going 7. That you can book that. Like, would you agree with that? If they win tomorrow night, wouldn't it go 7? What do you think?
I had Clips at 6.
Okay, because let's just be real.
Yeah.
The Clippers could have easily won Game 2. Game 2, they could have easily won Game 2.
Yeah, I can't really agree with you right now, Trey.
They could have easily won Game 2, and they blew it. But I think the Phoenix Suns, they're going to come out and play much better in Game 4. And one more thing I want to say. Like, I don't think Kawhi Leonard is coming back because you saw him last night sitting in the suite watching the Clippers play. I think that's an indication that the injury is more significant than what we know. So therefore, I don't think we're going to see Kawhi Leonard the rest of the playoffs. And, I feel like if he was on the bench, I might have had some, I've been optimistic, like maybe he might come back at some point. But because he was up in the suite, it just tells you that this injury is serious. And I don't think he's going to come back this postseason. So, therefore, I believe the Phoenix Suns will win Game 4 because I don't think the Phoenix Suns want to go nip and tuck with the Clippers. They want to try to get this series over with quick, fast, and in a hurry. So here's my prediction. If the Suns win tomorrow night, which I'm predicting, I think the series is over in 5. If the Clippers win tomorrow night, it's going 7. That's it.
So Trey got the Phoenix Suns winning Game 4. I got the LA Clippers winning Game 4. I think this is going to be a great matchup, Trey, and it's going to be something to look into tomorrow on ESPN.
Let's transition to the Eastern Conference. As the Eastern Conference Finals took place Wednesday night in Milwaukee, the Atlanta Hawks beat the Milwaukee Bucks 116-113. Hawks lead the series 1-0. So Clarence, Bucks go down in Game 1 for the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young was outstanding. He had 48 points, shot 17 of 34 from the floor, 4 of 13 from three-point range, dropped 11 assists. He's tied for the most by a player age 22 or younger in a conference or divisional finals game. He's averaging 38 points per game in Game 1s. That's also the most by any player in NBA history. For the Milwaukee Bucks last night, Giannis had 34 points, 12 rebounds. Jrue Holiday dropped 33 and 10 assists. So, Clarence, your Bucks go down in Game 1. What was the biggest reason for the Game 1 result?
It's pretty simple. One of the stars on the Milwaukee Bucks didn't show up. And it's who? And the first and all, Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
Like Chris Middleton, as simple as that. I understand that Giannis and Jrue Holiday had the same exact shooting percentage. They were 14 out of 25. Combined, 28 out of 50 to combine together. They both, Giannis had 34 and 12 rebounds. Jrue Holiday had 33 and 10. But Jrue Holiday, he ain't off the rip too. Let me get to him next too.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton was 0 for 9 on the got threes. 0 for 9 on the threes. And something that we seen before in the conference finals when they played against the Toronto Raptors. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
I just think that he didn't play well, Trey. He did. It's odd and simple. He looked at bad out there. He wasn't in a rhythm. He couldn't get into a rhythm because it's like the Hawks was already expecting what kind of game they was getting from him. And it just looked at bad. Giannis stepped up and showed up, as he should. And Chris Middleton, he just didn't play his part. And it looked at bad. But Game 2, I should expect more out of him. Now I'm going to Jrue Holiday. Right. Now, Jrue Holiday, boy, he was getting barbecue chicken by Trae Young. Like, man, boy, Trae Young disrespecting him with that shimmy. I said, are you kidding me, Jrue Holiday? And I was saying, like, I looking through social media, oh, my God. Like, Trae Young is shaking, baking Jrue Holiday. Now, I think he crossed him like 5 times yesterday in the game yesterday. defensively, he wasn't there, but offensively, he was there. Like, he was putting up points when Chris Middleton was stepping up, so he stepped up.
Right.
But defensively, he was getting barbecue chicken.
He was.
And like Trae Young was just a monster, man. He just like what's it, 6.30 game on the road. That's the most in the NBA in his first season. Yeah. So he's been phenomenal. He's just been a dog at that position, just playing well and at the elite level. Like Trae Young is an elite point guard in the making. He's up there and like right there now. He bought me out like being a top point guard in the league. Like,
sir.
Yeah, definitely. Trae Young, he's legit. I never expect Atlanta to be going this far in the playoffs. Like, and I can't believe you was right when they beat Philly. So this magical like trip is just like phenomenal. Game 2 it's gonna be something fun in store tonight, man.
I agree with you. That game's gonna get tipped off here shortly in Milwaukee. But Trae Young was absolutely sensational in game 1. He dropped 48 points, had 11 assists. And that's why I told you the other day, Clarence, I said, I believe in order for the Atlanta Hawks to have a chance at winning this series, they need Trae Young to play at a high level. And his ball handling skills, are amazing. And he's also a great passer. 11 assists is outstanding. Okay, like he is the offense for the Atlanta Hawks. When he gets into the paint and, throws the ball to shooters on the perimeter, that's when the Atlanta Hawks are at their best, when their shooters can hit shots, like Lou Williams, like Bogdanovich, like Kevin Huerter. When they can get, perimeter looks, from Trae Young penetrating the paint, that's when they're at their best. And I felt like he embarrassed the Milwaukee Bucks offensively with his quickness and the shimmy. That was great. Like, that was great. He had, like, literally all day, all night to shoot that three-point shot. Like, that was an embarrassing moment for the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on with the Milwaukee Bucks in this game defensively, Clarence, but they had no answers for Giannis. You mentioned Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday had 33 points, shot 14 of 25 from the field overall, 5 of 12 from three-point range. So he played great offensively, but he decided not to show up on the other end of the floor because he was getting completely cooked by Trae Young. But overall, the way Trae Young is playing right now, he's playing at an elite level. And when he gets into the paint and he's shooting his floaters, he's pretty much unstoppable because you have to make a decision. If you come up, he can get lob dunks to Clint Capella and John Collins. If you stay back, he can hit those mid-range floaters and kill you. And he can go to the free throw line and hit his free throws at a high clip. And to be honest with you, Clarence, the way Trae Young is playing, he's on a run that is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this since LeBron James dragged the Cleveland Cavaliers to the finals in 2007. And I go back to even AI back in 2000, the year AI won NBA MVP when they had the Dikembe Mutombo as a defensive player of the year. He dragged the Philadelphia 76ers to the finals against the Lakers. Trae Young is on that type of run right now. Yeah. Like, he is literally running through the East, and he's going up against teams that are known for great defense. In the first round, he went up against the New York Knicks, a great defensive squad, with Thibodeau. Then in the second round, going up against the Philadelphia 76ers, they're one of the top defensive teams in the NBA.
High hopes for the title, too.
Yeah, high hopes for the title, championship contenders. Yeah. And now he's in the conference finals going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that also prides themselves on defense. When they got players with size and girth like Giannis, like Brook Lopez, like Middleton. And he is playing at a high level. We haven't seen anything like this since LeBron took the Cavs to the finals in 2007 and Allen Iverson went on his run with the Sixers in 2000. Trae Young's playing at a high level.
Man, and another thing, too, that will lead us to our next question. It said, what adjustment does Mike Budenholzer need to make to even up this series? Let me speak on that real quick, though, Trey. What in the hell? Because I seen a play that Giannis was posting up Trae Young and hit him with a fadeaway. What in the hell is he doing that? And another thing, too.
But he did it against the Nets in Game 7. And I'm like, no, not Game 7. I'm sorry. Game 5, I believe.
Game 5 against who was the
James Harden.
Okay, James Harden is way bigger than Trae Young.
Right, but you still got the size advantage.
Yeah, you do, though. You do.
You have the length. Like, you need to be able to go up over James Harden, go up over Trae Young, and finish in the low post.
And another thing,
Giannis isn't capable.
But don't say he ain't
capable. He's not capable.
No, that's just ridiculous. You just don't like Giannis. But the thing is,
I had a problem. I know how great Giannis is.
I understand.
But offensively, he's challenged. He's challenged.
Look, Mike Budenholzer need to tell this man, need to tell this man to get in that paint and work down there. Because when John Collins was on him, John Collins is too little for Young. Giannis is too powerful down there. Once he realized that he had to remind himself he was a 2-time MVP and a defensive player of the year, man. He had to show these boys like why he is that. Like I think you need to get in that paint right there and work down there. Like when John, like even when he was going at Collins couldn't slow that man down. Collins is 6'9". Giannis is 7 foot with an 8 feet wingspan. He need to get in that paint and score down there. Another thing too, Chris Middleton. They gotta set him up like with good looks though, because he the type of guy like he need to create his own space to get a good look at it. So if he ain't getting no good looks at it, it's not gonna be a good shot. So he need to find good looks and he need to get more comfortable into this series. But Giannis, man, don't do no fadeaway against Trae Young, man.
Yeah, Chris Middleton was off. He had 15 points in 40 minutes, shot 6 of 23 from the floor, 0 of 9 from three-point range, like you mentioned earlier. He was terrible. But for me, the biggest adjustment that Mike Budenholzer needs to make for the Milwaukee Bucks heading into Game 2 tonight is he can't play Brook Lopez in this series. He can't play Brook Lopez in this series because Brook Lopez can't guard ice Trae on a perimeter in pick and roll situations. Like this is where Trae Young is getting his points. That's why he had 48 points in Game 1 because Brook Lopez, he can't guard Trae Young on the perimeter because if he comes out to the perimeter, Trae Young can blow right past him, get to the rim or get to his floater game, or he can throw those lob dunks, like I mentioned earlier, to Clint Capella or John Collins. And overall, Mike Budenholzer, he might need to go small. They might need to put Giannis at the 5 and bring in Bobby Portis off the bench because I don't think Brook Lopez, is going to be, significant in this series. Like he's irrelevant. Like you can't play him against this Atlanta Hawks team. In the playoffs, as head coaches, you have to be able to make adjustments and you have to be able to recognize, okay, in this matchup, this particular player won't really give us much in this series. I don't believe Brook Lopez is playable. Therefore, I believe you have to bench him and bring in Bobby Portis and put Giannis at the 5. That's one of the major adjustments.
I like that. So let me ask you this. This is a tough question. So who you rather have in the next 5 years? Ice Cold Trae or Luka Doncic?
Ooh, this was a tough one for me, Clarence. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, it's worth the conversation now. Like if you would have told me or said a few weeks ago, who would you rather have, Trae Young or Luka Doncic? I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed and said, like, why are we even talking about this? Like, why is this even worth a conversation? But Clarence, it is worth a conversation with the run that Trae Young is currently on. I love Luka Doncic, okay? I believe he's a great talent. He's 6'8". He's averaging, 26 points per game on 46% shooting for his career, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, okay? 2-time All-Star, 1 Rookie of the Year, in his first season with the Dallas Mavericks. Great floor general, great facilitator, and he is the man in Dallas for the Dallas Mavericks. Like, make no mistake about it. This franchise is Luka Doncic's franchise. But when I'm talking about who am I taking the next 5 years, I'm taking Trae Young over Luka Doncic. And I'm going to explain to you why. Luka comes with baggage. Like you just saw the general manager who was in Dallas, for 24 years. He stepped down. You saw Rick Carlisle step down. So with some rumblings in Dallas about whether or not Luka Doncic is hard to coach. Is he coachable? Is he, one of those players that you can build a franchise around and he can basically build the type of culture that will attract free agents? These are questions that people have about Luka Doncic. He also, if you notice in games, Luka gets into it a lot with officials. Like officials hate Luka. Like they hate when they have to official like Dallas Mavericks games because they know they got to deal with Luka Doncic. I'm taking Trae Young over Luka Doncic because Trae Young doesn't have the baggage that Luka Doncic has. And overall, Trae Young is a better free throw shooter than Luka Doncic. Trae Young shoots 86% from the free throw line. Luka Doncic shoots 74% from the free throw line. They both shoot the 3 about the same at 34% and Luka at 33% respectively. So they both shoot about the same at the 3. But I think given the fact that statistically they're about even, I'm taking Trae Young because Trae Young doesn't have the baggage that Luka has. And I think you can win a championship with the type of player that Trae Young is because he's shown an ability to be a true leader. I still got questions about Luka Doncic's leadership.
Now, that was a great response, though. But for me, though, these are two top competitors that's going to be special in this NBA for 5, 10, 15 years. And you go see these guys go win multiple. I can see these two guys winning multiple NBA Finals MVPs, like like a lot of stuff accolades. Well, Luka already has Trae Young and those accolades so far at 3 straight All NBA first team. So that right there, some potential is there though. But for me though, I think I'm gonna still take Luka though. I still take Luka over Trae though for the simple fact he has the size over them. He can do more, like rebound, and his playmaking ability is like tremendous. Luka is a special guy, and Trae Young is special too though, because what makes him special, he's a short guy at 6'1" and just balling out. The teams playing behind him. Teams play behind Luka too. If he got the right pieces around him. But that Atlanta team is better than that Mavericks team. Let's get that out the way though. But Luka,
really?
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that. I think Trae Young has carried this Atlanta Hawks team.
No, hold on.
He's carried them.
Hold on.
Like, what y'all think? Because I don't think that's no landslide like this Atlanta Hawks team is better.
Clint Capella is better than any big man they got on that team. Let's clear that out the way.
I mean, I think overall that Dallas Mavericks team, they got players who can make plays. Like Tim Hardaway, I was impressed with the way Tim Hardaway played in the first round series against the Clippers. Like, I'm not so sure that the Hawks are significantly better than the Mavericks. Even if they are better, they just a little bit, not by that much.
John Collins is better than any big man on their team. Better than Kristaps Porzingis. I like John.
John Collins is having a nice season.
John Collins actually been nice.
But John Collins came out of nowhere. Like, look, he came out of nowhere. Like, did we see this during the regular season? We didn't see this.
Collins is a dog, bro. John Collins is a dog.
This Atlanta Hawks team.
A double machine.
This Atlanta Hawks team is averaging.
He's better than Kristaps Porzingis. I probably choose John Collins.
I'm not really impressed with Kristaps Porzingis right now. Yeah. Because I don't like the fact that Kristaps Porzingis continues to shoot 3-point shots. Like, why in the hell does Kristaps Porzingis think he's Steph Curry or Trae Young? I don't understand for the life of me why Kristaps Porzingis continues to shoot jump shots. Like, there's 7 feet. When he was with the New York Knicks clearance, at one point, I compared Porzingis. I compared 7'3". I compared Kristaps Porzingis to Karl-Anthony Towns. I compared him to Anthony Davis. I was saying, like, he has the capabilities and the potential to be as great as, those 2 other players. And he just hasn't played well, since he's been in Dallas. I think he has lost his work ethic, and I don't think he's really as motivated now that he's gotten his money. But let's get back to this. Do you agree with my point that Luka has more baggage than Ice Trae? Like, he has more baggage. Like, why would Rick Carlisle step down? Well, all of a sudden, why would he step down? Like, out of nowhere, like, coaches dream of getting jobs like the Dallas Mavericks because you inherit a superstar. Why would Rick Carlisle step down? So wouldn't you agree that Luka has a little bit more baggage than Trae Young before we move on?
I just think Mark Cuban is that type of owner, like, get Luka whatever he needs, because he sees Luka as being a special player in this NBA. And Rick Carlisle is too old to coach a player like Luka. He can't coach that old school tradition no more. This is the new league. You gotta let him go. And the GM wasn't liking the change that Mark Cuban was making in the office anyway. He wanted guys that can play up to Luka's style, and he had to go. Like this, I'm with Mark Cuban. Like, hey, get these boys out of here and bring in someone that you think that will help Luka get to the next level, be one of the best. I love that Jason Kidd one, because he played for Dallas. He brought him a championship, so you know what it feels like to bring a championship into that organization. So it was the right move to release them too, man. I think Luka is a baggage there because, he a crybaby. Yeah, he a crybaby on the floor. He yell about his calls and all that, but everybody does. Everybody does though. But him, he's special. He's a special guy, so he's gonna get whatever he wants. They're gonna let him slide with a little smart aleck stuff. It's Luka. Luka Doncic is like one of the best point guards in the league. Like, so you gotta respect that though, Trae.
Yeah, I just think Ice Trae has shown, better leadership qualities that I haven't seen from Luka. Like, I feel like Luka is great. He's 6'8", and again, he's a great floor general, great facilitator. Like, he has a great future ahead of him. And I think he's, honestly, a top 10 player in the NBA. But when you ask me who am I taking for the next 5 years, I'm giving Trae Young the slight edge because of his leadership, and also he's a better free throw shooter. And overall, I think he has that, it factor. Like he has the intangibles as a player that can win championships. I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Trae Young. I'm not taking nothing away from Luka. I've just been impressed with Trae Young because I don't believe this Atlanta Hawks team is very good. Like I think they are, like, from a talent perspective, like to me, they play hard. Nate McMillan got them playing at a high level because they play hard and, like they love the game. They love competing. But this Atlanta Hawks team isn't a team that has crazy talent, on the roster. This is Trae Young carrying them to the Eastern Conference Finals with the possibility of getting to the NBA Finals. So I give Trae Young all the credit in the world.
Luka been carrying his team for the last 2 years. Don't do that, man.
Who wins game 2 tonight?
Oh, I got the Bucks winning this one. I think the Bucks need to prevail from game 1. You can't let ice cold Trae get another rhythm again. If you can take the ball out of Trae Young's hand, you can definitely win it. Chris Middleton got to find his shot. And Drew Holiday don't look like barbecue chicken, man. Time to put down that lockdown, baby. But I got the Bucks winning this one, though, Trae. What about you?
The Bucks actually lead this game 20-14 right now in game 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to roll with the Bucks tonight because I think this is a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe, Clarence, the longer this series goes, the advantage flips to the Atlanta Hawks because I think it's going to be a lot of pressure for the Milwaukee Bucks to close out this tough and gritty Atlanta Hawks team. So I think in order for the Bucks to win this series, they got to win game 2 tonight in Milwaukee. You don't want to go back to Atlanta down 2-0 because I believe if that happens, the Atlanta Hawks are going to win this series. If the Atlanta Hawks win tonight, they will win this series. But I'm predicting the Bucks will take care of business at home. I got the Greek Freak in the Bucks taking care of the business.
You better pick the Bucks, man. You smart man. All right, well, let's move on. We switching over to the NFL, guys. Look, Sean McVay speak highly on Matthew Stafford. He said, bro, this dude is a bad mother effort. Whatever people say about him, as good as it can be, he's better than advertised. It makes sense to him. The guy's ability to see the game, his ability to draw, his experience, to feel that he has is pretty special and unique. So let me ask you this, Trey. With the addition of Matthew Stafford, are the Rams the team to beat in the NFC West?
Yes, I believe the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC West. Let's start off on the defensive side of the ball. You still got Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the NFL. You still got Jalen Ramsey, a top cornerback in the NFL, in the secondary. And you're right. I think Aaron Donald arguably is, the greatest defensive player in NFL history. I said arguably.
Greatest?
I said arguably. It's arguably.
In our era.
You could compare Aaron Donald, to Deion Primetime Sanders, like Lawrence Taylor. I'm not saying he is. I said he's in that conversation. Aaron Donald is dominant. But anyways, you still got Jalen Ramsey, just like I said, in the secondary. On their team, they got Justin Hollins, Kenny Young. You still got Leonard Floyd at the linebacker position, Micah Kaiser. I like them in their front seven. But when you look at their secondary, besides Jalen Ramsey, they got a lot of guys who aren't proven. You got Taylor Rapp, Jordan Fuller, Darius Williams. Those guys aren't proven. So, I think this team has a lot of guys who can play. But I think if they were to suffer from any kind of injury bug, they would, suffer and they could possibly not win the NFC West. I think they are a team that don't have much depth. That's what I'm getting to. They don't have much depth. And I think they go through a series of games where they suffer a lot of injuries. It could cost them a chance at possibly winning the NFC West. But they're led by Raheem Morris. He's a new defensive coordinator for the LA Rams. I think defensively they got talent. I'm just not so sure about their secondary. I like their front seven, though. I said, I like their front seven with Donald and, you got Joseph Day up front, Alshon Robinson. I like their front seven. I just got questions about their secondary because nobody's proven besides Jalen Ramsey. Now, when you switch to the offensive side of the ball, we know Matthew Stafford, for his career, 282 touchdowns, 144 interceptions, completed 63% of his passes in his career. He has over 45,000 passing yards, but he's not proven in the playoffs, Clarence. In his postseason so far, he's 0-3. Now he's playing for the Lions, and he hasn't had much help, besides Megatron, he hasn't had much to play with when he was playing with the Detroit Lions. But overall, he was a significant upgrade over Jared Goff for the LA Rams. And I know that Sean McVay is excited because he now has a new toy to put at the quarterback position. And unlike Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford doesn't have any limitations. He can throw the ball deep at an elite level and throw the ball accurately. He can throw the ball, over the middle, at an elite level. He doesn't have any limitations to where he can throw the ball to, which means they can stretch the field. They weren't able to do that with Jared Goff because Jared Goff had limitations. So now the fact that you upgraded at quarterback, you look at their weapons that they got offensively. I expect Cam Akers to get more touches this season. I think Cam Akers has emerged as a number one running back on this team. And I think they're going to take on that approach like they had when they had Todd Gurley, because Todd Gurley got all the touches when he was in LA. I think Cam Akers has elevated his game, to a point where Sean McVay trusts him to get the bulk of the carries. So I expect, him to play at a high level this year as well. Also, their offensive line, though, they're average. I'm not really impressed with their offensive line. I'm not.
They're one of the best.
They average. Like Brian Allen, David Edwards, Andrew Whitworth, who's still playing. Andrew Whitworth is still playing football, ladies and gentlemen. He was with your Bengals forever, and now he's playing with the LA Rams and trying to compete and get to a Super Bowl. But Austin Corbett, I'm just not impressed with their offensive line, and I think that's the weakness on their team. And let me get to their receivers, and I'll let you go. They still got Cooper Kupp. They still got Robert Woods. Neither are top 10 receivers, but they're formidable. I think they're a formidable duo with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. But you added an injury-prone Deshaun Jackson, in free agency. Let's see what Deshaun Jackson has left in the tank. They drafted Tutu well in the draft. They compared him to Deshaun Jackson. He has great speed on the outside. So overall, I think this LA Rams team will win the NFC West. I think they are true Super Bowl contenders. And I think they have pushed all their chips to the front of the table. And it's Super Bowl or bust for the LA Rams and Sean McVay this season. So I think they will win the NFC West overall.
Well, look at this LA Rams saying, when you traded for Matthew Stafford, you was basically telling him, hey, we can win. You're a quarterback that we can win a Super Bowl with. This is our window right now to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, man, you about to make a deal. We trade for you, and you come over here and you work hard and lead us to a Super Bowl. That's what he basically told Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford basically is betting on himself and saying, yes, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life, and I'm ready to deliver. Yeah. Which is not a problem. But the thing is, you're in LA. You're in the toughest division in the NFL. You're playing against the San Francisco 49ers, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. Let me bring up those three teams back up for you, Trey. Yeah. The Seahawks, they got a great quarterback in Russell Wilson, a top 5 quarterback in the league that can heat up a game, but they came short in the playoffs. The Cardinals, they're coming up.
Came up short against the Rams.
Yeah, came up short. Yeah, against the Rams.
Yeah.
Now the Cardinals, they're a team that was supposed to be in the playoffs, but Chicago Bears all of a sudden won the game, and they lost 2 straight games. They're a team that's upcoming too, a team that you should be looking out for with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, and my favorite AJ Green, even Larry Fitzgerald, who decided to come. And their defense is still young and developing.
Yeah.
Now the San Francisco 49ers. Now, we should expect them to play at this high level. You're getting back Joey Bosa. You got a good defense. You got Jimmy Garoppolo that's solid when he's healthy. A good running game. George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the league. So the LA Rams got their hands pretty full right now, Trey. Yeah. To even say that they're going to win the NFC West, which it's kind of in the question right now.
Well, for me, when I look at the rest of the teams in NFC West that the Rams are competing against, you talked about it. You talked about the Seattle Seahawks. They have a great quarterback in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the division. But after Russell Wilson, to me, when you look at the rest of the Seahawks team, defensively, they're not as good as the Rams. They're not as good as the Rams defensively. Seahawks. Yeah, they're not. And then when you look at the rest of the other teams, you look at the Arizona Cardinals. I like the Arizona Cardinals because I like their roster, especially offensively. I like Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is on the come up. I think he's one of those quarterbacks that deserves to be in the conversation with the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. When you talk about Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, like Josh Allen, Kyler Murray deserves to be in that conversation. Make no mistake about it. I was impressed with Kyler Murray last year. The play of the year last year when Kyler Murray rolled out to his left, threw that Hail Mary pass to DeAndre Hopkins. It was the play of the season last year. I'm very impressed with Kyler Murray. I think the Arizona Cardinals, they have an overall solid roster. And I think their roster is probably the second or third best roster in the division. Seattle at 4, But I think when we look at the San Francisco 49ers, I said this a couple weeks ago on the show. I do think the 49ers will be much better this year because they were injury riddled last year. Like they had a lot of injuries, like George Kittle was injured. Obviously Jimmy Garoppolo was injured last year. Solomon Thomas was injured. Joey Bosa was injured. They had a ton of injuries. They will be a better team this upcoming season. They're only 1 year removed from being in the Super Bowl, Clarence. Yeah. They went into the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl a few years ago with a lead. They had a chance to win a Super Bowl over Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I still believe the 49ers are an elite team. So I agree with you. They have some stiff competition. I believe the NFC West is the best division in the NFL. Top to bottom. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with you because when you look at this Rams schedule, their first 5 games, at home against Chicago Bears, which is going to be
that's a win.
Okay, we can go. We can play that game. Just want to say that.
Yeah.
So their first game against the Chicago Bears at home against Andy Dalton and a good Chicago team.
1-0.
Okay, it's a Sunday night on the road to Indianapolis to play Carson Wentz. A good defense with a stiff offensive line. Right. So that right there, we're gonna throw that in the air. Toss up. Now you come back home and play the reigning champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Ooh,
that's a toss up right there.
That's a great game.
That's a great game. Like a game that you don't want to miss. Like because the Rams defense and the Bucs defense, they're both one of the top.
Yeah.
And the next game after that, you got the next 2 games are division. Your first game against at home against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
So what's that? Easy win?
Easy win.
Nah,
it ain't easy. Ain't nothing easy. Who their next game against their 5th game?
Oh, after that game, they on the road Thursday night against Seattle.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. They could start the season off 2-3, 3-2 maybe. I'm not sure. Like I would give my predictions when the season starts. But I just think we look at teams in the NFC, right?
Yeah.
Like I believe they are a top 3 Super Bowl contender in the NFC. Like I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously, with the team they have, bringing back Tom Brady,
everybody,
bringing back Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, pretty much everybody returned to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have to be the favorites in the NFC. To be the best, you got to beat the best. So until further notice, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the team to beat in the NFC. But after that, I think the Rams deserve to be in that conversation for top teams in the NFC. I believe Aaron Rodgers is coming back. So you got to throw my Packers in the mix. I think the Saints are going to take a step back this year.
Okay, I agree with that.
Because Drew Brees retiring, I don't trust Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, for the Saints at the quarterback position. So I think the Saints are going to take a step back in the NFC South. I'm just not sure about the other teams in the NFC. So you have to say the Rams are a legitimate top 3 team in the NFC that could win a Super Bowl. I'm talking about they can get to the Super Bowl. The Rams are a top 3 team. They can get to a Super Bowl.
Anybody can get to a Super Bowl at this
Anybody can go. If we're talking about the top 3 teams, who do you believe they are? I believe it's the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Rams, Bucks. Those are the top 3 teams right now in the NFC to me.
Even over the Seahawks, even over the great Russell Wilson, you got the.
I don't trust the Seahawks defense.
Okay.
I just don't.
You don't trust the Seahawks.
I don't trust the Seahawks defense.
So, man.
And I still think, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think the Seahawks, they have a relationship with Russell Wilson that I don't believe has necessarily been fixed. I still think they got issues from like Russell Wilson listed 4 teams that he didn't mind getting traded to. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't trust Seattle this year.
You're basically saying the Los Angeles Rams are the 3rd best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I think they're a top 3 team in the NFC as far as being true Super Bowl contenders.
So is there a 3rd best team in the NFC?
I think right now the Rams are better than the Packers. Even with Aaron Rodgers.
With Aaron Rodgers?
Yes. With Aaron Rodgers, the Rams are better. I'm being honest.
So Matthew Stafford always been better than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, hell no. I just say, you need to stop talking football. You need to say something.
I'm just saying, though, because you think with Aaron Rodgers, the LA Rams are better than the Packers.
I think the LA Rams have a better roster than the Packers top to bottom. But Aaron Rodgers is obviously better than Matthew Stafford.
The Packers secondary is better than the Rams secondary. Let's clear that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And the Rams obviously front 7 is better than the Packers front 7. But I want to sleep on the Packers front 7 with the Smith brothers,
right,
and Kevin Clark and Kenny Clark. So I want to pass on them. Quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. I'll take him. And then the running back situation, Aaron Jones or Cam Akers. Come on, man.
I think top to bottom, the Rams have a better team than the Packers. But I do think there are some positions that you can point out and say the Packers have the advantage. I agree with you. I think Aaron Jones is better than Cam Akers. Devontae Adams is better than any of the receivers that the
Cooper
Rams
Kupp,
have.
Robert Woods.
Like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, those guys are serviceable, but they're
Cooper Kupp is a superstar, man.
no, stop it.
He's a
He just said
superstar.
you just said Cooper Kupp is a superstar?
Yes. What? He's not?
Cooper Kupp is.
Cooper
Are y'all
Kupp?
listening to this?
Are you listening to yourself?
Cooper.
He's a
Listen,
He's a
okay,
top slot.
wait a minute.
He's a top slot receiver.
When I hear superstar, I think about Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, a healthy Odell Beckham, Julio Jones.
I think Cooper Kupp actually fits
Like-
the bill.
What?
I think he actually
He deserves to be in
fits
that conversation.
the bill. Not top 10, but at least top 15. Top 15. I think Cooper Kupp is one of the best slot. He's one of the best slot receivers in the NFL.
You said he's a superstar. If I hear superstar, I hear you're a true number one receiver.
I think
Cooper Kupp is not no one number one receiver.
Believe it or not, if you remember you saying the Rams third best team in the NFL. If
No, in NFC.
NFC, if Matthew Stafford can get Cooper Kupp in better positions and win it, I think he's gonna break out. He's gonna crack the top 10. I think he's a top 15 receiver in the league.
Cooper Kupp is a poor man's Julian Edelman.
Oh, what?
Yes, he's a poor man's Julian Edelman. And I've never been one of those people that believe Julian Edelman should be.
He's better than Julian.
I don't think he's better than Julian.
He's better.
I think Julian Edelman's better, but I also don't believe Julian Edelman deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Cooper Kupp is a solid slot receiver, man. Great route running ability. Are you crazy?
Like, come on.
Are you?
You said superstar.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
He's not a superstar.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best slot
Stop.
receivers.
I'm gonna tell Raquel to ban you from talking to
No, I'm
NFL.
gonna tell
I should have
Raquel.
talked about
I'm
what
gonna
you
tell
know.
Raquel, like, don't, man. Hey, he should not be talking football. Raquel, I hope you're hearing this right now.
Let's transition to our Wiser Lies segment of the day. So the Pelicans recently fired first-year coach Stan Van Gundy after missing the playoffs for a third straight season, finishing with a record of 31-41. And they were 11th in the Western Conference. So is it wise or lies to say the Pelicans made the right decision firing Stan Van Gundy?
I think it's wise though, Mr. Larkins. Let me tell you why real quick. I think it's wise because you need a guy someone that can like grow with these young players. You need like a young coach because you keep putting these old traditional coaches with these young guys. They trying to run traditional ball. It's not working no more. You see big man's taking threes now, bringing the ball up court. Like Stan Van Gundy he's a phenomenal coach. Don't get me wrong. He's a Hall of Fame coach, but he doesn't fit what New Orleans is trying to build. And New Orleans is a terrible organization as it is, but what they're trying to build is something big and smart. I don't think Stan Van Gundy was the right coach. I think it's wise that they fired him.
I agree with you. It was wise that they fired Stan Van Gundy, Clarence, because I don't think Stan Van Gundy knows how to relate to the young players in the NBA in this day and age. I think he's that kind of old school type of coach. He's used to his way or the highway. And in the NBA now, you have to be able to relate to your players on your team. Like you got to be able to play, you got to be able to go into the hotel and play Fortnite. Like you got to be able to go into the hotel and be able to play the video game with your young players on your team. I don't think Stan Van Gundy is that type of coach. And this New Orleans Pelicans team is a team built of players who are young.
Yeah.
You got Lonzo Ball, you got Zion Williamson, you got Brandon Ingram. They are a team that is a young team in the NBA. And one more thing, defensively, they were awful last year. In points per game, they gave up 115 points per game, which was ranked 24th in the NBA. 3-point field goal percentage. They gave up 38%, which was 25th in the NBA. 3-point field goal points per game. They gave up 15 3-point shots per game, which was 29th, and the efficiency was 113. So they were terrible defensively, was the worst in franchise history. I think Stan Van Gundy preached, defense and wanted them to play better defense, but I just don't think Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball were receptive to the message that Stan Van Gundy was trying to get across to the team.
I like that. So on the new Madden MVP edition, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are on the cover. So it's a wise lie to say Madden is making a mistake leaving off MVP quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's a mistake. Damn well it is a mistake not having Aaron Rodgers on the cover when you say MVP edition and you don't put Aaron Rodgers on the cover of Madden. The disrespect that Madden is, throwing in the direction of Aaron Rodgers is insane, Clarence. Last year, Aaron Rodgers had 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, threw for over 4,000 passing yards, got my Packers back to an NFC championship game with the back-to-back NFC championship games, by the way, and that was because of Aaron Rodgers. this was disrespectful by Madden to not include the NFL MVP when you're going to call it the MVP edition. So hell yeah, it is wise to say they are making a mistake leaving off the MVP quarterback.
You should be going off on EA Sports. That's the one that did
EA Sports. Okay.
Yeah, but I love your response. I think it's lies though. I think
what?
I think hold on. Aaron Rodgers had a phenomenal season. I'm not going to discredit that, but I think what EA Sports is building right here, that it's basically saying Tom Brady is passing the torch to Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes is the next big quarterback in the next 10, 15 years. So I think they're trying to get the meaning out, like, hey, Patrick Mahomes, he's Tom Brady, basically.
Then don't name it MVP edition.
Well, MVP edition, like, I get what you're saying, that if you're gonna name MVP edition, you gotta put Aaron Rodgers in the middle. But they view Aaron Rodgers probably as, oh, he's a Dan Marino type of guy, but he won a Super Bowl. So, hey, we still got to give him much credit when it's due. But, hey, we might make the 99 club.
Yeah, whatever. Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie will decline his $12.3 million player option for the upcoming 2021 season and become a free agent this offseason. So is it wise or wise to say the Nets should re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie?
I think it is wise, though. I think that should be their number one priority is bringing back Dinwiddie because, he was hurt. And he'd be a key bench player that could run with the second and unit team. And possibly he'd be a starter. He's a starter on another team. But I think that if you want to have that continuity, you need to re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, he's a good role player. If you get him at the exact number trade, I think he should go with that number and you move on from there.
I agree with you. I think it's wise that the Nets should re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie. Not this past year because he had a partially torn ACL, but in 2019, he averaged 21 points per game, shot 42% from the floor, 31% from three-point range, which isn't great, but I thought he was a key piece, for the Nets. They were playing in a bubble without Kevin Durant, without Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And, I thought he played pretty well, in the bubble for the Brooklyn Nets. And then in 2018, he had, 17 points per game, 44% shooting from the floor. So he's 6'5". I think he can score the basketball. I think he's one of those pieces that could be a tremendous role player for the Brooklyn Nets, and help them possibly compete for a championship because you got to put some nice pieces around James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. And those are your core pieces, but they got to be able to have great role players around them for the championship. I think Spencer Dinwiddie is that kind of player.
Okay, so safety, Kansas City safety, Tyrann Mathieu wants to stay with the Chiefs as long as the Cub is willing to keep him. And Tyrann Mathieu is entering his final season in his 3-year contract that was worth $42 million. So it's a wise line to say the Chiefs should prioritize re-signing the Honey Badger, Trae.
I think that's wise. I think they should bring him back just for continuity purposes. I think this is a team that, they fresh off, back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances. They've been in the Super Bowl, the last 2 years, came up short this past season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before that, they beat the San Francisco 49ers. I think to keep the continuity on the Kansas City Chiefs, you want to re-sign a player like Tyrann Mathieu. I think Patrick Mahomes gave him a nice, endorsement when he said that he wants Tyrann Mathieu around as long as he's around. So I think you want to bring back Tyrann Mathieu because you want to keep the continuity with the Kansas City Chiefs. And, as long as they get to AFC Championship games, keep the team that you have intact. But they have to improve their offensive line. They did that in the offseason. But overall, I think they should bring back Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, I think it is wise, though, because he's one of the main leaders of the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they fall in line when he's talking and when he's leading. So I think it's wise that you do bring back Tyrann Mathieu, re-sign him to a reasonable contract that y'all both can agree on, because without his leadership, that defense won't even be as good as it's supposed to be. So, I think it's wise that you have to decide.
Yeah. Let's transition back to the NBA, Clarence, as Steve Kerr had some interesting comments as he compared Kevin Durant to Michael Jordan. He was on NBC Sports. He was talking to Raj Mathai, and he said, quote, Kevin Durant is more gifted than Michael Jordan. This is Steve Kerr. He said, quote, he's just showed he's the most talented player on earth, if not of all time. These were Steve Kerr's comments on Michael Jordan. On Kevin Durant and Michael Jordan. So, Clarence, does Steve Kerr have a point?
I think you need to pull up them Kevin Durant stats because it's about to get real personal here. Real personal here. Now, we're talking about Kevin the Grim Reaper Durant, the one guy that we consider one of the greatest scorers of our era and probably arguably of all time, correct?
Yeah.
When you look at Kevin Durant, you see the 4 scoring titles. You see a 7-foot guy that moves like a guard, someone that's just a very efficient scorer that just can score at any type of level. He's a 3-level scorer. You know, he can attack the basket. He can post you up. He can shoot the 3. The mid-range is demanding. The free throws are sweeter than candy and fruit. Like, when you looking at Kevin Durant, you're looking at him like, this is a bucket. And I get what Steve Kerr is meaning, though. Like, this guy right here can score at any will. This guy, he has the ability to, score. If you have the right pieces around him, this man can just do anything. He can do anything with nothing. He can do anything with nothing. Like you see with the Brooklyn Nets, he played all 53 minutes in game 6? I think it was game
5.
Yeah, game 5. He played 53 minutes, and he put up a triple double. Like, man, this guy right here, he's amazing. Like, to say he's the more gifted than Michael Jordan, I don't think he has the same impact as MJ, because MJ was electrifying, phenomenal. He was the people's champ. And he was a guy that, like, hey, you're going to respect me, or you're going to take this 50 and go home.
Yeah.
And for Kevin Durant, he's more so of the, hey, I'm a guy that's to myself that I give you 30 and 40 any type of night. Man, like when Steve Kerr was saying all this, I was like, I had to really think about what he was really saying. Like, basically saying this is probably one of the greatest scorers since Michael Jordan that I ever seen.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. But Kevin Durant, he's on his way up there, and he's one of the greatest scorers in our generation.
Oh, of course.
In our generation. But for Michael Jordan, I think when MJ had that killer instinct, Durant does too, though. But Michael Jordan was different.
He was different, but I actually agree with Steve Kerr, Clarence. I believe Kevin Durant is more gifted than Michael Jordan. I'm gonna tell you why. I believe that Steve Kerr used the right choice of words. He said most gifted. He didn't say most accomplished. Yeah. He didn't say the greatest, okay? He didn't say the best. He said the most gifted. Because if he would have said the greatest, obviously, that's LeBron James. That's Michael Jordan. That's Kobe Bryant, in my opinion. I think he deserves to be in the GOAT conversation. If he would have said most accomplished, clearly that's LeBron. Clearly that's Michael Jordan.
True.
He said most gifted. And when you talk about being most gifted, I completely agree with Steve Kerr about Kevin Durant being the most gifted player possibly of all time, because Kevin Durant has a career scoring average, 27 points per game on 49% shooting from the floor. He averages 4 assists per game. He's a great free throw shooter. He's a great 3-point shooter as well. He's 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan. Like, we've never seen anything like the Slim Reaper. Like, he's an amazing player. And like you said, he's a great scorer. But when I think about gifted, I'm thinking about God-given ability. I'm not thinking about the most accomplished. I'm not thinking about the greatest. So I agree with Steve Kerr with his choice of words when he was describing Kevin Durant being more gifted than Michael Jordan. Yeah. The only difference I would say is, though, when you talk about, being an assassin, Michael Jordan is an assassin. And that's something that Kevin Durant, in my opinion, as great as he is, he's never really had that assassin's mentality in his game.
What?
Assassin. I'm talking about having that killer mentality. Kevin Durant doesn't have the killer mentality like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. Does he have the capability of, dropping 50 and just saying, get the hell off the court, I'm the best? Of course. I just don't think he's ever had, that mindset to be a killer like a Kobe Bryant, like a Michael Jordan. Because if he did, he would have never left Oklahoma City. He would have never left Oklahoma City. He would have said, I could beat the Warriors, without going to join them. I was up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. I had a top 10 point guard alongside me and Russell Westbrook. If he was the type of player that was like Michael Jordan, like, Kobe Bryant, he would have never left for Golden State. Now, I do understand that he left for Golden State because he wanted to play, a better brand of basketball, that ball movement, that the Warriors had going on with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, and unselfish basketball. I understand he wanted to go to Golden State, with that great brand of basketball. But if he had the killer mentality like a Kobe Bryant or like a Michael Jordan had, he would have never left Golden State. And he would have said, I'm not going to join forces with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I'm going to beat the Golden State Warriors because I was up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals and came up a little short. So I agree with Steve Kerr overall with his choice of words in this particular topic because I do believe he's the most gifted player of all time. But when it comes to greatest and most accomplished, that's a different conversation. Yeah. And Kevin Durant possibly could get there at some point in his career. He just isn't there quite yet.
I just think Kevin Durant, I like Steve Kerr's words, choice of words, the most gifted. Because when you're a 7-foot scorer that can just score at any level, you're gifted, man. People will die to have you on your team. But Kevin Durant, I think he has that assassin killer instinct in himself. We've seen it numerous of times from OKC all the way into Brooklyn. This man has a killer mentality that everybody wished to have. He shut down LeBron James, hit him with a shot, shut the crowd down.
What do you see when you think of killer mentality? What do you think of? Because I've never
shut the crowd down.
I'm talking about killer mentality as a player. You said you think he has that killer mentality. How? I'm not saying Kevin Durant doesn't have a capability of being elite from a scoring perspective with a killer mentality like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. But I've never looked at Kevin Durant as being the type of player that says, give me the ball, get the hell out the way. He's done it when he's had to, but he doesn't necessarily have that mindset on a consistent basis. I think he did it in the series against the Bucks because he had no choice. Kyrie Irving went down with the ankle injury. James Harden is compromised. So he had no choice. He knew he had to drop 40 plus for the Nets to have a chance at winning that series. But overall, throughout the course of his career, I've never felt like Kevin Durant had that mentality of give me the ball, get the hell out the way. He's always wanted to be a team player.
No, Kyrie knows that, the last shot is going to Kevin Durant. Everybody that play with KD, he gets the last shot.
But last shot is not a killer mentality. Killer mentality is saying, tonight, I'm dropping 50 and I'm going to shoot 30 or 40 shots. That's what killer mentality is.
Yeah, that's considered more of you talking that you about to have a killer night and you perform at it. But when KD does that, he does that everything you saying, hey, give me the ball tonight. He even told Golden State when Steph Curry and Draymond Green, they only had combined 25 points. He told Stephen Curry, I got you. Give me the ball. And he came and delivered and dropped 43 points on LeBron James in the 2018 NBA.
I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Because I think Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet, okay? Make no mistake about it. I think Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet. But I want to ask you a question. If he is a killer, if he's the type of player that has that killer mentality, why did he go to Golden State?
Let me tell you why he went to Golden State. Because he wanted to win. He wanted to win. He wanted to win because he didn't want to play with no unselfish player in Russell Westbrook. Look, and from game 5, 6, and 7, they both struggled. But KD had the highest number in scoring. But think about it. If you and let's be honest, let's be real honest, and let's think like an NBA player. If you in your 8th or 9th year in the league and you trying everything you might to get to a championship game, and you keep failing, you want to move on?
What I'm saying is, though, if you are as great, as we believe you are, because that was the main reason why I had an issue with Kevin Durant going to Golden State. I had an issue with Kevin Durant going to Golden State because I knew it was going to completely change the complexion of the NBA.
Well,
I know how great he is. So because of how great he is, I knew him going to the Golden State Warriors, was going to completely tear apart the parity that we had in the NBA. So that's why I was upset with him. But overall, I think if you have the mentality like you're a killer, I can do it. Like a Michael Jordan, like a Kobe Bryant, you don't go to Golden State. You think that Michael Jordan,
so you
think Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant would have ever teamed up with players that they compete against for championships? Well, you never saw Michael Jordan go play with Charles Barkley. You never saw Michael Jordan go play with Patrick Ewing, ever.
Kobe has the history of recruiting one of the best players, but they respectively declined him. Like Dirk Nowitzki, he told Dirk, man, come to LA, we win championship, but Dirk declined him.
Come to LA. You see, that's coming to where I'm at.
No, but
I ain't coming to where you at.
But he was recruiting, telling Dirk Nowitzki, leave Dallas, come to LA. Same exact reason what Steph Curry and them did. Leave Oklahoma City and come play with us. They needed him. And it was a good return though, because he's a good scorer and they can win multiple championships. Hey, you win you a ring. Yeah. So that's why it kind of looked weird. It looks bad because you joined a team that beats you and all that. Yeah. So I kind of get that type of narrative.
Now let's transition and talk about the Brooklyn Nets as a team. After their Game 7 loss to the Milwaukee Bucks, in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Did the Nets underachieve this season?
Oh yeah, definitely underachieved this season though. But injuries come with the game, though. We know it comes with the game, though. But you can definitely say they underachieved, like, because once you see one powerhouse who got knocked down, the LA Lakers, like that was your window of, hey man, this is y'all ring. Like y'all need to take this. This is y'all chance. Like y'all are the new favorites to win the title. So I just think like they got caught up in that media and just let it like rip through their head and then just forgetting like, hey, we're in the playoffs right now. We got to stay focused. And what results of that? James Harden was injured. Kyrie Irving got hurt. So it kind of just messed up the season from there. But it's still definitely an underachieved because when you got three of the top players at their position, you expect it to at least make the finals, man. Yeah. But some might say like, hey, you have to win it. But some like, hey, if you at least make it, we can at least say like, hey, at least I was in the finals. But I definitely think it was an underachieved though with the injuries.
I respectfully disagree because of the injuries. And I think because of the circumstances, we can't say the Brooklyn Nets underachieved. Let me explain why. Like, had Kyrie Irving and James Harden and Kevin Durant all been healthy and they lost in the playoffs before getting to the NBA Finals, I would have said they underachieved. Because when they put together this trio, expectations were they were going to win the NBA championship. Yeah. But we saw Kyrie Irving get injured in Game 4. We saw James Harden, in the first 2 minutes of Game 1 against the Bucks, he got injured with the hamstring. So I felt like once, the Brooklyn Nets had the injuries that they had, our expectations, went down for them as a team. Like, so I believe it's not like fair to say that they underachieved given the circumstances. But had they been healthy and had they lost to a Milwaukee Bucks or Atlanta Hawks team, then I would have said they underachieved because they had championship aspirations. Given the circumstances and them being injured in the postseason, I can't say that they necessarily underachieved. I just think it was a disappointment more so than them underachieved.
Regardless of the injuries, though, some people are going to feel like, hey, Kevin Durant, people say Kevin Durant can carry a team and he can lead them. Like, if Braun was in that position right now, people probably say that he could beat the Bucks. But like that's why I say it's an underachieved, because if you're considered one of the best, you do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
And he didn't. Obviously, he lost.
Yeah. Now let's keep this Kevin Durant conversation ongoing because Scottie Pippen had some interesting comments about Kevin Durant. This was Scottie Pippen. He said, this was him via GQ. He said, has he surpassed LeBron? No. He tried to beat the Milwaukee Bucks instead of utilizing his team. LeBron James would have figured out how to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. He said Kevin Durant is a shooter, a scorer, but he doesn't have what LeBron has. This was Scottie Pippen on Kevin Durant losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. So Kevin Durant responded by saying, didn't the great Scottie Pippen refuse to go in the game for the last second shot because he was in his feelings because his coach drew up a play for a better shooter? You remember on The Last Dance, they had that episode where they was talking about Scottie being in his feelings because Phil Jackson drew up a play, and it didn't involve him.
Right.
And I think that was the year when Michael Jordan retired. But what was your reaction to Kevin Durant and Scottie Pippen's beef?
I think what their beef is, Scottie Pippen was basically saying like, don't be saying he's the next one compared to LeBron, because LeBron would have beat the Bucks team. And I get what Stephen A. Smith said earlier on First Take, saying like Scottie Pippen basically was saying like, hey, LeBron would have beat that Bucks team. You didn't. So you're not LeBron. So don't say you can carry a team and you lose. You lose. And Kevin Durant, it seemed like he got in his feelings like, hey, did you miss that? He was salty because you wasn't the best option to shoot the shot. Yeah. And he was salty at that. So that's why he reacted the way he reacted. Basically, Scottie Pippen, I don't think he means too much of harm, but he basically said, hey, you're not LeBron James. You're not ready yet to lead a team. You're not ready to do whatever it takes in your blood to lead a team. Because I will admit, LeBron James has did some like tremendous runs. When he in the 2018, he beat like the Celtics team, not bad itself, but you can really argue and say he did bad itself. Like he knocked these good teams out the playoffs and made it to the finals. Yeah. Like for KD, like it was like the same story with him. Like, hey, James Harden is kind of messed up. Kevin Love was kind of messed up. Hey, can you still play at the high level? LeBron James played at the high level. This Kevin Durant played at the high level, but he got tired. Yeah. He couldn't have it no more in him. So I just look at it like like, hey, I kind of get what Scottie Pippen is saying, but then it's like, hey, Scottie, like, let him go, man. Let him slide. But in reality, people like he can't do the things what LeBron do. That's why I say like Kawhi Leonard has a better leadership than Kevin Durant because whatever any situation it's in, Kawhi Leonard delivers and wins for them. Though he wins for them.
Kawhi Leonard's not better than Kevin Durant.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just saying like he has better leadership skills.
That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, but
like I mean that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, it is though.
I mean I'm not gonna get into that, but for me, like my uncle taught me at a young age. He always taught me that two things can be true, and in this situation, I think this was, a situation where both Scottie Pippen and Kevin Durant were both right. I agree with Scottie Pippen. I believe that Kevin Durant is a great scorer. He's a better scorer than LeBron James could ever dream of being. But LeBron James is a better playmaker. Okay, LeBron James is a better athlete overall than Kevin Durant. But I think Kevin Durant is a tremendous scorer. And like there are things that Kevin Durant can do offensively from a scoring perspective that LeBron James just can't do. Like LeBron James can't shoot the three better than Kevin Durant. LeBron James doesn't have a great mid-range game like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has a better, career free throw shooting percentage than LeBron James overall. So there are things that I felt like Scottie Pippen was completely right about, and his basketball analysis was right on the money. But for some reason, Kevin Durant got his feelings and got offended and responded, getting personal. Like I don't think I had an issue with him responding, but I had an issue with what he said about Scottie Pippen because he got personal with it. But he also was right because Scottie Pippen did get his feelings when Phil Jackson drew up that play, in that playoff matchup. Start pouting, upset, overall. And then you had the one season where Scottie Pippen was mad because the Chicago Bulls and Jerry Krause didn't give him a new contract, so he didn't even rehab in the summer. He rehabbed throughout the season. Remember that? He didn't even rehab through the summer. He just said, the hell with rehabbing. I'm going to enjoy my summer, and I'm going to come back throughout the season, and I'm going to rehab then. So Kevin Durant was right about what he said about Scottie Pippen as well. They both were right. I just think Kevin Durant was wrong for getting personal, and Scottie Pippen was just giving a basketball analysis. Now, it was something that happened this morning. We're talking about Stephen A on First Take. Shout out to Stephen A. Scottie Pippen responded to Stephen A. And Stephen A was talking about LeBron and, stuff like that. And Scottie Pippen responded and said to Stephen A that LeBron James won a championship without any help. Oh, so before we get in the night, okay, I need to address Scottie Pippen tonight, live on Wise Guys, okay? Like we both got to talk about this.
Put the mic back.
Yeah, bring the mic over here.
He gotta hear that. He's
Scottie Pippen. What the hell are you talking about? Like, are you drunk? Like, what are you watching? To say LeBron James won a championship without any help, I have the utmost respect for LeBron James. I think LeBron James is a top 3 player of all time. I think LeBron James, obviously he's a 4-time NBA champion, 4-time, finals MVP. Obviously, he's a great player, on the floor as far as being a great facilitator. He makes players better around him. But to say that he's won championships without any help, did Scottie Pippen not recognize Dwayne Wade on that Miami Heat team? Dwayne Wade, when LeBron James decided to go to South Beach, Dwayne Wade was a finals MVP, was a top 10 player in the NBA. He also had Chris Bosh on that Miami Heat team, a perennial all-star year in and year out. And then he leaves Miami, goes back home to Cleveland. You have a great point guard like Kyrie Irving, one of the best, the most skilled players of all time. You had a legitimate all-star in Kevin Love. And then he goes to LA, okay, the city of angels, and he gets Anthony Davis, a top 5 player, arguably, in the NBA, wins a championship. So to say that LeBron James has never had any help when he's won his championship is ignorant. And Scottie Pippen's credibility went completely out the window, Clarence, when he tweeted that this morning, the First Take. Like Stephen A said, he needs to delete that tweet because he lost his all credibility with me. It was awful.
Yeah, it was
awful.
I can't.
Like, come on, man.
I can't.
Like, come on, man.
I can't even reply to that. I was like, what?
But you know what it is? One more thing before we get out of here. I promise this is it. I think that if you watch The Last Dance, you saw that Michael Jordan, he didn't really have that much respect for Scottie Pippen. As far as being a dynamic duo, we knew who the man was with Chicago Bulls. Unquestionably, it was Michael Jordan. Like with other dynamic duos, you could talk about who was better. When you talk about Kobe and Shaq, there was a debate like who was better, Kobe or Shaq, with Dwayne Wade and LeBron. Like when LeBron went to Miami, LeBron was better than Dwayne Wade. But as far as overall like career, like you can make an argument that Dwayne Wade was, close to being as good as LeBron James. There was never a time in Chicago where Scottie Pippen was as good as Michael Jordan. Like that gap is significant. You know, like it ain't even close. Like that Batman-Robin relationship, Robin ain't close to Batman. So I think Scottie Pippen, in some ways, he tries to push this narrative that LeBron is the GOAT because he got some animosity towards Michael Jordan because he knows MJ didn't respect him as much as he wanted him to. Like, what you think about that? Like, before, I really think he pushed that narrative like LeBron is the GOAT because he knows that Michael Jordan doesn't have the respect for him like he wanted him to. First of all, like he don't really treat him like a true co-star. He didn't do that.
I just think that Scottie Pippen, he was a product of Michael Jordan, and he was though. Back Michael Jordan looked at him as soft, as a young guy that wasn't ready yet, so he had to build him up in practice to get better.
Yeah,
and it probably was the way how he said things to him back in the day. He liked or just ways he didn't like, but Scottie Pippen, he was a product of Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
he was a product.
He was a product of Michael Jordan. I think him and Jordan got some animosity going on between each other.
Yeah,
like they really do, and I think Scottie be upset. That's why he try to say that LeBron is the GOAT. Man, stop, Scottie. You know damn well Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I think Kobe Bryant deserves to be in that conversation as well. Okay, but you know damn well MJ was the man in Chicago, and I think it's a little bit of jealousy, that. And I also think that's why he was upset too in that playoff game when Phil Jackson drove that play. Like he was upset because he damn, we in the playoffs. Here's my moment. MJ just retired. Here's my moment to shine. Right. Give me my flowers. And Phil Jackson drew up a play for someone else on the team. Scottie was a little upset in his feelings. That was his moment to shine. Didn't happen.
Yeah, I think KD had Tony Kukoc jersey on, so it's probably for him.
Yeah. Everybody remember going to follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. So live update in the Eastern Conference Finals. Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks lead the Atlanta Hawks 77-45.
Let's go!
So they damn well better win this series. So they'll be headed back to Atlanta, tied at 1 game apiece. Be an interesting game 3 Sunday night in the ATL clearance.
Bucks getting their first ring, y'all. Giannis getting that first ring.
Big plans this weekend?
Big plans. Man, I'm just chilling, relaxing, getting, working all weekend as usual. What about you, big fella?
NBA playoffs.
NBA, I know. NBA gonna be right there, man.
2 nice game 3s that we got to look forward to. Game 3 tomorrow night in the Western Conference Finals. Clippers gonna try to even up the series against the Phoenix Suns, and then game 3, obviously in Atlanta, on Sunday night, because this game 2 is over. It's over. I was looking forward to getting out of here and going watch game 2 clearance. The Bucks have completely ruined my Friday night.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But everybody have a great weekend. Wise Guys will be back live Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on the Worldwide Sports Network. Signing